Bella was always the epitome of kindness and loyalty. The Labrador, adored by the family, had often been their companion and protector. No one could have imagined that one day this beloved dog would suddenly rush toward a little girl with a fierceness that sent chills down their spines. What happened next changed everything they thought they knew about Bella and revealed a shocking truth. Now it's your turn. Comment below and let us know which country you're watching from, and share your thoughts on unexpected twists like this one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more gripping stories. The Johnson family's home radiated warmth and serenity, a place where laughter echoed through the halls and the aroma of freshly baked cookies filled the air. At the heart of this idyllic household was Bella, their golden Labrador. She wasn't just a pet, she was family. From the moment they brought her home as a wriggling puppy with oversized paws, she had claimed a place in their hearts that no one else could occupy. Bella had a presence that was both calming and commanding. Her amber eyes seemed to hold a wisdom far beyond her years, and her tail wagged with uncontainable joy whenever she was around the people she loved. To the Johnsons, Bella was more than just a dog, she was a guardian, a confidant, and the glue that held their family together. Her loyalty was legendary in their neighborhood. She never left little Emma's side, watching over the 5-year-old girl as though she were her own pup. If Emma giggled, Bella wagged her tail. If Emma cried, Bella would nuzzle her hand, offering silent comfort. On many nights, Bella would lie outside Emma's bedroom door, a quiet sentinel ensuring her safety as she slept. But Bella's love wasn't confined to Emma. She had a way of knowing when anyone in the family needed her. When Mr. Johnson returned home after a long day at work, Bella would greet him at the door with her head tilted, as if asking how his day had gone. When Mrs. Johnson curled up on the couch to read, Bella would settle at her feet, a silent but steadfast companion. What set Bella apart was her uncanny ability to sense emotions. She seemed to understand when tensions were high or when someone was sad. It was as though she carried an invisible thread, weaving it through each family member's heart, pulling them closer together even on the toughest days. Every memory the Johnsons cherished had Bella in it: Emma's first steps, taken with Bella gently nudging her forward, lazy Sunday afternoons spent picnicking in the backyard with Bella sprawled in the sun, even the quiet nights when the power went out, and the family huddled together with Bella's reassuring presence keeping them calm. To the Johnsons, Bella was not just a dog. She was a symbol of unconditional love and a reminder that sometimes the purest connections in life come without words. And yet, as they would soon discover, there was still so much more to Bella's love than they could ever have imagined. The sun rose lazily over the Johnsons' backyard, casting a golden glow over the dew-kissed grass. Birds chirped in the trees, and a gentle breeze carried the faint scent of blooming flowers. It was a scene of tranquility, the kind of peaceful morning that made the world feel safe and predictable. Emma, with her rosy cheeks and wild blonde curls, was a whirlwind of energy, darting around the yard with her favorite stuffed bunny clutched tightly in one hand. She giggled as she jumped from stone to stone on the garden path, her tiny boots leaving imprints in the soft soil. To her, the backyard was a kingdom, her imagination transforming every tree into a castle and every flowerbed into a magical forest. Bella lay nearby, her large frame stretched out on the grass, head resting on her paws. Her ears twitched at the sounds of Emma's laughter, and her eyes followed the little girl's every move. Bella was more than just a silent observer, she was a protector, always poised and ready. Every step Emma took, every turn she made, Bella adjusted her position slightly, ensuring she was never too far away. Inside the house, the familiar hum of family life continued. Mrs. Johnson stood in the kitchen, the aroma of fresh coffee wafting through the open window as she folded laundry on the counter. Mr. Johnson sat at the dining table, his laptop open as he typed away, occasionally glancing outside to see his daughter's cheerful antics. They shared a quiet confidence, knowing that Emma was under Bella's watchful eye. Through the open door, Mrs. Johnson called out, "Emma, don't go too close to the flower beds. You'll trample the tulips again." Her voice was playful, not stern, because she knew Bella would keep Emma in line better than anyone. Bella's tail thumped softly on the ground at the sound of Mrs. Johnson's voice, as if to signal her acknowledgement. The dog's calm demeanor belied her vigilance. Every flicker of movement, a squirrel darting through the bushes, a shadow cast by the breeze, caught Bella's attention. Emma paused to pick up a dandelion, blowing its feathery seeds into the wind. She laughed as the tiny parachutes danced around her, unaware of the world beyond the fence. It was a perfectly ordinary morning, one that felt safe and secure, wrapped in the familiarity of routine. The serenity of the morning shattered like fragile glass. A deep, guttural bark pierced the stillness, rolling across the yard like distant thunder. It wasn't the friendly, excited bark of a playful dog, it was sharp, menacing, and filled with raw aggression. Bella's ears shot up, her body instantly tensing like a coiled spring. At first, Emma didn't notice. She was too busy arranging a circle of daisies she had picked, her soft hum blending with the rustling leaves. But Bella's sudden movement caught her eye. The dog stood tall, her tail rigid, her gaze locked on the far corner of the yard. And then it came into view. A large, hulking figure emerged from the neighbor's property, a dog much larger than Bella, with bristling fur and eyes that burned with hostility. This was Max, the neighbor's infamous Rottweiler, known throughout the neighborhood for his unpredictable temper. He was supposed to be securely confined behind the tall wooden fence, but something had gone terribly wrong. The gate, carelessly left ajar, now swung in the breeze, and Max had taken his chance to escape. Max's barks grew louder, each one like a drumbeat of impending danger. His teeth glinted as he charged forward, his massive paws kicking up clumps of earth. He wasn't just running, he was hunting. And his target was clear, the tiny, unsuspecting girl crouched in the middle of the yard. Emma looked up, her innocent face puzzled as she finally noticed the approaching threat. "Bella," she called softly, sensing the shift in the air but not fully grasping the danger. Bella didn't hesitate. With a low growl rumbling deep in her chest, she stepped forward, placing herself squarely between Emma and the oncoming threat. Her stance was firm, protective, and unyielding. This wasn't the gentle, loving Bella her family knew, this was a guardian, ready to fight. Inside the house, Mrs. Johnson froze, her hand clutching the edge of the counter as the sound of Max's barks reached her ears. She rushed to the window, her heart dropping as she saw the scene unfolding outside. "John," she screamed, her voice trembling with panic. "Something's wrong, Emma." Mr. Johnson bolted from his chair, his eyes widening in horror as he saw Max barreling toward their daughter. They both ran toward the door, but Bella was already in motion. Max reached the edge of the yard, his bark morphing into a feral growl as he lunged toward Emma. Bella sprang forward, her movements fluid and fierce, meeting the attack head-on. The collision was brutal, two powerful forces colliding in a flurry of fur, growls, and snapping jaws. Emma screamed, frozen in place as tears streamed down her cheeks. She didn't understand why her sweet Bella was growling, why her protector had suddenly turned into a warrior. Bella's focus never wavered. She lunged, snapping her jaws at Max, forcing him back step by step. Every move she made was calculated, her sole mission to protect the little girl behind her. Max snarled and lunged again, but Bella held her ground, a fierce determination burning in her amber eyes. From the doorway, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson watched in helpless terror, their voices calling out to Emma, urging her to move away. But Emma couldn't take her eyes off Bella, the dog who had always been her gentle companion, now risking everything to shield her from harm. The once peaceful yard was now a battleground, the air thick with tension and the sounds of the ferocious fight. And in that moment, Bella proved she wasn't just a loyal dog, she was a hero, willing to do whatever it took to protect her family. For a fleeting moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. The breeze stopped, the birds fell silent, and the only sound that remained was the pounding of feet against the earth, Max's relentless charge toward Emma. And then, like the crack of lightning, Bella moved. She was a blur of golden fur and muscle as she launched herself forward, her body cutting through the still air with a precision born of instinct. Bella's growl, low and primal, sent shivers down Emma's spine. It was a sound she had never heard before from her gentle companion, a sound that spoke of danger and an unwavering resolve to confront it. Emma gasped, her small hands clutching her stuffed bunny tighter. "Bella," she whispered, her voice trembling with confusion. To her, Bella had always been a source of comfort, a safe haven. But now, the dog's demeanor was something entirely different, ferocious, determined, almost unrecognizable. From the kitchen window, Mrs. Johnson saw the leap and froze, her heart caught in her throat. To her, it looked as though Bella was lunging at Emma, her teeth bared and her growl reverberating across the yard. Panic surged through her. John! She's words failed her as fear overtook her senses. Mr. Johnson was already sprinting toward the door, his mind racing. His heart wrenched at the thought that their beloved Bella could harm Emma, but the scene unfolding before him defied explanation. In the yard, Bella hit the ground with a force that sent dust flying, skidding between Emma and Max with inches to spare. She stood tall and unyielding, her body a shield against the danger bearing down on them. Her growl deepened, a warning that cut through the tension like a blade. Max didn't stop. His powerful body surged forward, and Bella braced herself, her hackles raised and her teeth gleaming in the sunlight. She lunged toward him with a ferocity that no one had ever seen before. The collision was thunderous, a clash of raw strength and determination. Emma stumbled backward, falling onto the soft grass as tears spilled down her cheeks. She didn't understand why Bella had changed, why her dog, her protector, seemed so angry. Bella, no, she cried, her small voice trembling with fear. Bella didn't look back. Her focus was absolute, her movements sharp and deliberate. Every muscle in her body worked in unison as she forced Max back, snapping and growling with an intensity that left no room for doubt. This was a fight for Emma's life. From the doorway, the Johnsons watched in stunned silence. Mrs. Johnson clutched her husband's arm, her nails digging into his skin as they tried to make sense of what they were seeing. Is she protecting her? She finally whispered, her voice barely audible over the chaos. Mr. Johnson nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on Bella. She's not attacking Emma, he said, his voice thick with emotion. She's saving her. Bella lunged again, her jaws snapping inches from Max's face. The larger dog hesitated for a moment, startled by the sheer force of her defiance. But Max was relentless, and he lunged again, aiming for Bella's throat. The sound of growls and snapping jaws filled the yard, echoing off the fences. Bella didn't falter. Her movements were calculated, her eyes never leaving Max as she maneuvered to keep Emma safely behind her. For Bella, this wasn't just a fight, it was a promise. A promise to protect the family she loved, no matter the cost. The yard, once a sanctuary of peace and laughter, was now a battleground. Bella stood firm, her golden coat bristling as she placed herself squarely between Emma and Max. Her growls, low and menacing, reverberated through the air like the rumble of an oncoming storm. Her body was a wall, unyielding, immovable, blocking the path to the frightened girl behind her. Max, driven by aggression and unrelenting force, lunged forward, his massive jaws snapping in an attempt to overpower Bella. But she met him head-on, her own teeth bared in defiance. The collision of their bodies sent a ripple through the ground, the sheer power of the impact shaking the leaves on the nearby trees. Emma screamed, her high-pitched cries piercing the chaos. She clutched her stuffed bunny tightly, tears streaming down her face as she watched the only world she knew turn into a whirlwind of snarls, barks, and flashing teeth. Stay back, Emma! Bella's stance seemed to scream, her actions speaking louder than any words ever could. She pushed Max back with a forceful snap of her jaws, her eyes blazing with an unyielding determination. For Bella, this wasn't just a fight, it was a declaration. Max would not lay a single paw on her girl. Max snarled, his claws scraping the earth as he tried to circle around Bella, his instincts pushing him to find a weakness. But Bella anticipated every move, her powerful frame pivoting with precision, cutting him off at every turn. She lunged at him again, her jaws closing just inches from his muzzle, forcing him back in a flurry of dirt and grass. Inside the house, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson watched in horror, their feet frozen as the scene unfolded. She's protecting her, Mr. Johnson whispered, his voice thick with both fear and awe. Mrs. Johnson clasped her hands to her chest, her heart pounding. John, we have to do something. She can't hold him off forever. Max, undeterred, lunged once more, his sharp teeth aiming for Bella's neck. She twisted her body, evading the attack with a precision that spoke of both skill and instinct. She countered with a powerful snap of her jaws, catching Max by the scruff and forcing him to stumble back. Her growl deepened, echoing like a war cry. Emma's cries grew louder as she scrambled backward, her tiny hands clawing at the grass. Bella, she sobbed, her voice trembling with fear. Bella's ears flicked toward the sound of Emma's voice, but her focus never wavered. Every muscle in her body moved with purpose, her sole mission to keep the danger at bay. She lunged again, her teeth grazing Max's shoulder, forcing him to retreat another step. The yard was a blur of motion, flashing teeth, clawing paws, and the raw sounds of battle. Bella fought with a ferocity the Johnsons had never seen before, her every move a testament to her unwavering devotion. And yet, Max was relentless. He lunged again and again, his size and strength pushing Bella to her limits. But she refused to give an inch, her determination burning brighter with every attack. The parents finally broke free from their paralysis, rushing toward the yard. "Emma, come to us," Mrs. Johnson shouted, her voice a mix of desperation and hope. Emma hesitated, her wide eyes darting between Bella and her parents. But Bella, with a sharp bark and a brief glance over her shoulder, seemed to give the girl an unspoken command: "Go. Now." Summoning her courage, Emma scrambled to her feet and ran toward her parents, her little legs moving as fast as they could. Bella, seeing her safe, let out a powerful growl and lunged at Max with renewed strength, driving him further back. The battle raged on, but Bella's focus never faltered. She was a force of nature, fighting not just with her strength but with her heart, defending the family that meant everything to her. The yard was a cacophony of chaos, snarls, barks, and the desperate cries of a terrified little girl. The sound carried beyond the fences, shattering the quiet of the neighborhood and pulling everyone into a state of alarm. Mrs. Johnson was the first to reach the scene, her feet barely touching the ground as she raced to her daughter. Behind her, Mr. Johnson followed, his heart pounding like a drum. The sight that greeted them stopped them both in their tracks. Bella was in the thick of it, her golden coat smeared with dirt and marked with fresh scratches. Her body moved like a blur, a whirlwind of strength and precision as she defended her ground. Max, the neighbor's formidable Rottweiler, growled and lunged again, but Bella met him head-on, her teeth flashing like steel. "Emma!" Mrs. Johnson cried, her voice cracking with panic. She dropped to her knees, arms outstretched as Emma ran toward her. The little girl was trembling, her tear-streaked face buried in her mother's embrace. She's saving me, Mommy," Emma sobbed, clutching her mother tightly. Mr. Johnson moved forward cautiously, his eyes fixed on the battle raging just feet away. Bella had managed to push Max back toward the edge of the yard, but it was clear the fight was taking its toll. Her breaths came in ragged pants, and the scratches along her sides oozed faint streaks of red. From neighboring yards, doors slammed and voices called out in alarm. The sound of heavy footsteps approached as neighbors began to gather. Among them was Mr. Carter, Max's owner, his face pale with shock. "What's going on?" he yelled, his voice rising above the noise. Then his eyes fell on Max, snarling and snapping at Bella, and his expression turned to one of horror. "Max! No!" Bella didn't glance away, her focus unyielding as she held her ground. She lunged forward, forcing Max to stumble back another step. Despite her injuries, she radiated a strength that silenced any doubts about her determination. Mr. Carter hurried forward, his hands trembling as he fumbled for Max's collar. "I don't know how he got out," he muttered, his voice thick with guilt. "I thought the gate was locked. Get him out of here." Mr. Johnson barked, stepping closer to Bella, though he kept a safe distance from the clashing dogs. Mr. Carter finally reached Max, grabbing his collar and yanking him back with all his strength. Max resisted, his growls echoing in the air, but after a moment, the larger dog relented. With one final snarl at Bella, he allowed himself to be pulled away. Bella didn't move. She stood tall, her chest heaving, her eyes locked on Max until he disappeared from view. Only then did she take a step back, her body trembling with exhaustion. The crowd murmured in awe, their eyes fixed on the battered Labrador who had risked everything to protect her family. "That dog," someone whispered. "She's incredible." Mrs. Johnson, still holding Emma, turned to Bella with tears streaming down her face. "Bella," she said softly, her voice choked with emotion. "You saved her." Bella's ears twitched at the sound of her name, and she took a shaky step toward Emma, her tail giving the faintest wag. Despite her exhaustion, her first instinct was to check on the little girl she had fought so hard to protect. Emma broke free from her mother's arms and ran to Bella, throwing her tiny arms around the dog's neck. "You're my hero, Bella," she whispered through her tears. The neighbors stood in silence, watching as the family reunited around the courageous dog. Bella, scratched and battered but unbowed, had proven that her loyalty and love knew no bounds. For the Johnsons, she wasn't just a pet, she was their guardian, their savior, and now, their undisputed hero. The aftermath of the fight left the yard eerily silent, as if the world itself paused to process what had just occurred. The Johnsons sat huddled together on the soft grass, Emma still clutching Bella, who was now lying beside her, exhausted but unbroken. The golden fur along Bella's sides was matted with dirt and streaked with faint lines of red, yet her eyes remained soft as she watched over the little girl she had just risked everything to save. Mr. Johnson's hand trembled as he stroked Bella's head. "I thought," he began, his voice faltering. "I thought she was attacking Emma." Mrs. Johnson nodded, her eyes welling up with tears. "So did I. For a moment, I doubted her." Her voice cracked as she added, "How could we ever think that of her?" Emma looked up at her parents, her small voice breaking the silence. "Bella was saving me. She didn't let the bad dog get me." She hugged Bella tighter, her little hands lost in the dog's thick fur. "She's my hero." The weight of Emma's words settled heavily on the parents. They had underestimated Bella's love, her devotion, and her instincts. What had appeared to be an act of aggression was, in truth, a selfless act of bravery. Bella had seen the danger before anyone else and had thrown herself into harm's way without hesitation. The neighbors, who had gathered quietly around the yard, began to speak in hushed tones. "I've never seen a dog do something like that," one woman murmured. "Bella's more than a dog," Mr. Johnson said, his voice steady now as he addressed the group. "She's family. She's been protecting us all along, and today, she proved it in a way we'll never forget." Bella shifted slightly, letting out a soft whine as Emma gently kissed her head. The parents exchanged a glance, both silently vowing never to question Bella's loyalty again. She had reminded them of something fundamental: love and protection are not always loud or obvious, but when the moment calls for it, true devotion will shine through. This day had forever altered the way they viewed Bella. She wasn't just their family dog, she was a protector, a friend, and a symbol of unconditional love. It was a bond forged not by words but by action, a loyalty so pure and unwavering that it left them in awe. The Johnsons' story quickly spread through the neighborhood, a tale of a dog's incredible bravery and the deep, unspoken connection between humans and animals. For the Johnsons, it was a lesson they would carry with them always: never doubt the love of those who would give everything for you, even without a second thought. What do you think of Bella's incredible act of bravery? Have you ever witnessed or heard of a pet showing such loyalty? Share your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear your stories. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming and inspiring stories like this one. Your support helps us bring more incredible tales to light.